Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is an unusual day for us. This is again the professor of real estate, and today we're going to talk about the law of rubber band. We are going to hit a topic that probably should have been really last month, the month of July, but it's just kind of been hitting me a lot lately. Um, and I kind of want to talk about it. So I think that's what we're gonna do today. And so always welcome and thank you for being here and participating in this. If you do ever have any questions, comments, please ask them. I will stay on top of the chat box as much as I can and interact with you in every way I can about this. But let's kind of talk about first why I want to talk about the law of rubber band. Really, one reason and foremost, one of the bigger reasons is we're getting towards that year point, and I don't know about you, but like me, the first part of the year really didn't go as well as I had hoped. It was a little stagnant. It was a little slower than I wanted, and a little bit of reflection and a little bit of honest answering basically kind of tells me that it was probably more to do with me. I got a little complacent. I got a little, just a little lackadaisical in my nature of what I'm looking for to do with my particular business. And I thought that would be able to really relate to you. And I'm going to kind of relate this. I'm going to start at the end of last year into this year and tell you a little bit of a story. And then we'll kind of break down and hopefully show you some conversations and some things that hopefully you can ask yourself to kind of break out of any anomalies, conundrums that you're in right now, any little breakups that you have in your market today for you. Maybe this will help you kind of just jump out of it a little bit. So in case maybe you aren't aware, I've been an exec board member for one of our local associations here in Illinois for the last couple of years. And at the end of every year, we get the opportunity and privilege of going to other associations and watching the new president and new exec boards get installed, new board members. And it's a really great event. It's a really great opportunity to meet, the future leaders of the organizations. And it's very powerful. And it's a great relationship building opportunity. For me, even doing that, even though I do this on a daily basis, getting out there and talking in a public environment and building better networking is always a little bit of a challenge for me. Some people may not be aware of that, but that is definitely a fact for that. So getting out there and forcing myself to do that was great. It was a great stretch. But one of the things that kind of happened is I forgot throughout that time to try to grow the business too, right? I mean, that's got to be the part B to that conversation. Growing relationships without growing the business, well, it's great relationships and going to keep me financially strong in my businesses. So I've got to learn to kind of stretch that way. And the last year, beginning of this year, I really wasn't doing that. I wasn't making the phone calls. I wasn't getting out. I wasn't getting after it. I was really just letting the business come to me. And if you're good enough, okay, great. That happens, and that will be great for you and your business. But for most of us, we're gonna have to do things. We're gonna have to get outside our comfort zones. The markets are shifting, things are changing for us, and we're gonna have to make those adjustments. We're gonna have to modify and change and adapt. And it I was thinking about this the other day. We were on a long drive this weekend, and I was just kind of getting to think about it a little bit. And John Maxwell has a very amazing book. It's the 15 invaluable laws of growth. And that book has a lot of amazing chapters. I teach about it and I have masterminds about that in the end. And again, at the end, you'll see the ability to request a mastermind session if you want on this stuff, because it's a great 6 to 7 week session that helps us go through and see what we can do to grow our businesses and really ourselves to grow our business. But one of the chapters is the law of the rubber band. And that law essentially says this, you have to be stretched to grow. And so if we actually take a rubber band, and I don't actually think I see a rubber band on my desk, poor planning on my part, um, it doesn't do anything unless it's stretched, right? It's not, I can put a rubber band around a series of strings and it won't hold together unless it's stretched to hold tight, right? Same thing. If I actually have a rubber band and it's stretched, it will hold things together. It's extremely useful, but its usefulness is in the ability of being stretched. That's when it's being good. Much like us, we are going to have to find ways to stretch ourselves. We're going to have to find ways to stretch beyond what we think our limits are, right? Um, One of the things I had a, a professional development coach, not a professional, a personal trainer coach that I was working with for a long time. And one of the things she was always telling us was your mind is going to be your strength and weakness and all these things. And one of the things that will happen in there is you can talk yourself out of one last rep, one last thing, but your body can do more. And you will have to challenge yourself, stretch yourself, grow yourself for that one more stretch. So that's kind of what we want to talk about today, right? And that's kind of like the law of the rubber band. So one of the things to think about in here when you're talking about that is um, those stretches, one is going to get outside our comfort zones. We're going to have to do things we have never had to do. We might have to make phone calls. We may have to go door knock. We may have to go network, go to events. We may have to do video. I'm always pushing video for folks out there. This is something that we may have to do. We may have to do a podcast. That's one of the things I did. You know, AI, artificial intelligence. I've had a couple videos on that out there, and we're working on those things. You have the artificial intelligence in there, and it's great. So I've been teaching a lot on that. But one of the things I realized is I keep teaching people to do video, but it was one of the last things I was working on for myself personally. So one of the things I have done to stretch myself this year is to focus on video. One of the goals I have is to get 50 videos out by the end of the year. So I've had AI help me build some video content, and I'm trying to be more intentional. I'm rather strategic, or I try to be rather systematic in how I do things. I know, understand how some social media works. YouTube works like that as well. But what I'm learning right now is my schedule is not allowing me to be that systematic. So for me, a stretch outside my comfort zone is just coming in here, getting a topic and talking about it. Something that's hitting me true to my point and coming out there. So, these are the things that we need to do. We need to probably ask ourselves some questions, right? We need to ask ourselves some things that are out there. And we're going to talk about some action items here at the very end. But we're going to have to ask ourselves some questions. We're going to have to reevaluate a little bit. We're going to have to do some of the things to help to see where we're at today and where we want to be and what steps are going to be necessary to get there to get in that job. So the reality is, for being stretched, few of us do this, right? We tend to be okay with the status quo. We're getting our business. I fall into that, right? I have a couple companies that feed me some business, and I'm good with that sometimes. I'm a little too often too good with that. But we get in here and we get very just accepting and complacent, and we're gonna have to do that. We need to realize that stretching is going to be inside job. No one's going to come to you. I mean, you guys might have a broker and things like that will try to challenge you. If you have those are great. But to really be done, those growth opportunities for us in our business are going to have to come from an inside job, right? We're going to have to make sure that when we're working on this, that is coming from an internal situation, right? We look at trees just grow, right? They're not sitting there going, well, I think I need to grow. It's just going to happen, but it's an internal situation. It's an internal factor that we have out there. So please understand that it's an inside job. We're going to have systems. We're going to have things in place, to-do lists, habits in the morning, affirmations, whatever it may be. You're going to want to make sure you also understand that when we're talking about growth and stretching, it is going to require change. We're going to have to do something different. We're going to have to make a a change. And the example I typically give with this is still to this day extremely frustrating to me. The same personal trainer that I had, I was running some 5Ks. This is about 6, 7 years ago. And I just couldn't get faster. I wasn't getting any faster. Now, my method of running was you ran as hard as you could. And then when you got tired, you slowed down, you walked until you caught your breath and you keep running. With all that being said, in my younger years, I never did distance running. It was always sprint. So that's kind of where that nature came from. Well, I was talking to her and she told me, she goes, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pick a pace. I don't care what pace it is. I don't care if it's, because I was running probably about, at that point in time, I was probably running about a 12, maybe a 11-minute mile, somewhere between there somewhere. I'm nowhere near that these days. But I was running about that time. And when I was doing that, she goes, okay, I don't pick a time. I don't care what it is. 15, 16, 17, 20-minute miles. I don't care what it is. But I want you to pick a pace that you can maintain for the whole time. And I want you to continuously do this for a couple weeks. I had a race coming up, about 4 or 5 weeks coming up when I was talking to her about this. And I said, okay, fine. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. I hated it. It made me mad. I'm changing what I'm doing. I'm changing what I know. It's frustrating the heck out of me, but I'm doing it. Like, now I have a mentor that says, work to prove me right, not to prove me wrong. Right. I will tell you, I was doing everything I could to prove this person wrong. So I was doing this, and I think I picked like about a 16-minute mile pace. I think that's where I was at this point in time. And I'm doing this, and I'm running the pace, and I'm running. I ran 3-4 weeks like this. I'm going, there ain't no way I'm going to be running so much slower during this race. It's ridiculous. Well, long story short, when I got all the way through that race, I was like at about a 9.5-minute mile. So 2 minutes faster than I had ran before. I was ecstatic, but I was also frustrated at the same time because it changed how I did things. So just understand that stretching is going to require change in there because we need to make that happen. We need to do something different to get a different result, right? We always have that common adage that, with definition of insanity, do the same thing and expect different results, right? Things like that. We have that out there. Now, why do we want to stretch? Why are we trying to make this happen? Why am I going to push you all to make these stretching changes in your life? Well, one, we have goals and we want to make sure we hit those goals. And if we're not hitting them right now, we've got to figure out what's going to make this happen. But some of the things and some of the values that are going to happen from stretching and changing yourself and modifying what you're doing is some of these things are going to set you apart. Stretching is going to set you apart from everywhere else. Because remember, we talked earlier, it's the status quo. Many people don't do this. They're not going to challenge. They got the business. What they're going to do, they keep doing it. Our markets change. Our market shifts. If we're not adapting, we're not adjusting, we're not watching these things, we're going to get left behind. So stretching is going to help you set yourselves apart from other people. It also will start to become a lifestyle, right? It's a habit that will be hard to break. When you do this, now you're looking for something else, because what happens for a lot of folks that are stretching themselves on a continuous basis is they seek being uncomfortable. When they become too comfortable, they get nervous, they get itchy, they get tense about it. They got to find the new thing. Now you got to be careful. You can't change just because of change's sake, but it's one of those things. It will become a lifestyle. And it will give us a shot of being significant, right? When we do this stuff out here, it's going to help you take that role and take that ambition in life and make it something worthwhile, right? So this is why I want you to do this. This is why I'm trying to do it myself. I've got to do these things. It's an awakening that I need to make sure that we have done and that we're moving forward. So please always understand we're here for you and to make that happen. So how do I do this? how do I stretch, right? Okay, it's great. I mean, if if I'm trying to get in shape or I'm getting ready to do things, I've been taught, touch your toes, stretch your hamstring, stretch your arms, whatever. We've been taught these kind of conversations to move forward. But when we're talking from a business perspective or a personal or professional growth perspective, how do we actually grow, right? How do we do this? So the first thing I want you to ask yourself is just want to ask yourself one question. Where have I gotten complacent? Where have I been satisfied and settled with what I'm doing right now? Right? And ask yourself if you can do something different or you can do something more of an improved process. Can you, as an example, um, I have my systems in place, I have all this stuff done, but I can't make enough phone calls today. Do I need to hire a transaction coordinator to help do some of the day-to-day business things that I need to get rid of because I got to be doing what I need to do to lead generate, right? As an example. Do you know what your potential is? Have you had an opportunity to define what your potential is? Right? Do you have those dreams, ambitions? I'm actually probably about a month and a half to start marketing and advertising, setting goals for 2024. Do we have those in place? What are you doing? How are you moving forward? What's going on with that? So have you defined your potential? If you haven't, are you seeking help to get this done? Are you seeking the ability to see what's going on and how you can hit that potential? Also ask yourself, what has happened, the habits that you have done that have hindered yourself these days? What have you done in the world today that habits are building that you have that hinders yourself a little bit, right? For me, it's my phone. It's a huge distraction. I'm trying to make ways of putting it off to the side and doing things like that and getting rid of that distraction, get rid of that boat anchor a little bit. Um, I won't say TV is a distraction for me, but I do watch a lot of YouTube videos. And I'll be honest with you, most of them are fairly for production, for quote unquote productivity, for teachings and stuff like that. But eventually I got to get out of them and to actually build something, right? So, what are those habits that I'm doing right now that I've got to do? What are you worried about being just average about? Right? What are those things that you are worried about just being average in that you want to be more than average about in your life? Listings you got, things like that. Where do you want to become the expert of or the go to um, proficient member of that business? What do you want to do? What do you want to survive in? And I'm going to tell you this, go back to those goals. Hopefully you set them end of last year, beginning of this year. Hopefully you set those goals up. What do those goals tell you? Where have you been? Where are you at? Where do you sit with your business? How many units have you sold? How many people have you talked to? What are your measurable items and what are you doing? And then come back and ask the why question. Why haven't you hit those numbers? Why haven't you hit whatever those goal items are? And be critical about yourself. Don't judge yourself, but have a critical eye, right? I don't want you, I don't want us demeaning ourselves. Oh, we're horrible. We suck at this. Okay, fine. It's more about, I didn't hit this. Why did I not hit this? What am I not doing? And be honest with yourself. Be honest with that. And if you can't be honest with yourself, then hire a coach, right? Hire someone like me that can come out there and take the look at things like that for you. There are plenty of people that I can recommend as well that can do this for you and move forward in that business. But I want you to take a very strong look at what you do. So again, what are you becoming? What have you gotten complacent at? What are those habits that you are that are hurting you, not helping you? How satisfied are you with what you're doing in life? And that's both professionally and personally what's going on in there. and then start setting and readjust those goals. Don't be afraid to adjust those goals quarterly, monthly, things like that. One of my more favorite books these days is the 12-week year. So you can come through and you set your goals up for those 12 weeks, and it's more attainable, it's more pressurized, it's more instantaneous needs. And then you get to reevaluate and you get to go do the next 12 weeks. So you have quicker hits, quicker turnarounds. You can adjust, hopefully change on the fly. I think it's a really good thing to look at as far as this goes. So with all of that being said, folks, in the comment section, please tell me what your experiences are. Tell me the good, the bad, how you're correcting it, what you're doing in here. Tell me in the chat box, in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear how things are working for you, how you're doing, and how things are going. And hopefully some of these things, if they have worked for you or not in the past or currently, when you looked at this and you went and done it, hopefully you've learned some things from this. So hopefully what I can do from you is just ask for a quick favor. Please always like, subscribe, and comment in my sections. Lets me know if these are landing for you or not on the topics. I'm definitely here. My goal is to help you grow your business in any format I can through personal, professional, or technology training. These are the 3 things that I do for you on a daily basis. So please let me know how I can help you. I will tell you one thing, because again, it's my law of the rubber band. One of the things I'm going to be changing a little bit in here is I will always have, as I have promised, the video that comes out on Friday, but my live sessions may vary these days because I am getting a little bit better. My law of the rubber band has helped me grow a little bit, and I'm getting a little bit busier this summer, which makes things fluid on the days that I do some of these stuff because I'm traveling and doing other things. So when I do these videos, it may be a different time of the week. So I would always recommend subscribing to the channel, especially on YouTube, and then hit the little door, the little bell. That way, you know when I go live and you can hear it live and ask questions and interact then as well. You're always welcome to do that. With that, go take on the rest of 2023, and we will see you at the next video.